I've been to about 55 countries during the pandemic. Still haven't gotten COVID.
How is this possible? No, you have to choose one. No, you have to choose. Life is about freedom.
But pro tip for singles only. I actually met like a tour guide or people from dating apps in these places.
Hello, welcome to Chatterbox. Do you have a dream of traveling around the world? If you have, you are in good company. I'm Nikki, your host, and today we have 3 digital nomads here who manage to work while traveling, and we'll find out how they do it. Let's start with a short intro. Maybe you can introduce yourself and include a fun fact.
Hi, my name is Jason. I'm 26 this year and I'm a crypto trader. I try to travel every month I can.
Hi, my name is Joshua. I'm a principal with Decacon Capital. It's a venture capital fund based in Singapore. I've been to about 55 countries during the pandemic. Still haven't gotten COVID.
How is this possible?
You lived in the mountains, that's why.
No, mostly I was in a city area because I need Wi-Fi and a good connection to do work.
Hi, I'm Sasha. I'm an independent singer-songwriter. I make dance pop music, and I also work as the growth and community manager at a tech startup. Fun fact about me, I really love horse riding.
Nice. So maybe to get to know ourselves a bit better, we'll start with this game called This or That. I'll state 2 options, and on the count of 3, 2, 1, you'll just say the first answer that comes to your mind. The first one, morning person or night owl? 3, 2, 1.
Night.
Morning.
Night.
Night. Okay, we're all night owls here.
No,
No,
he's
it's
morning.
morning. Morning.
Oh, you said morning. Oh, sorry. Morning. Morning?
Yeah.
How do you cope with that while traveling? Like being a morning person?
I don't think I really have to cope with that. It's like I have to be both morning and night depending on what the work requires. Because sometimes the time zones are quite messed up, so you might have to wake up at 3 a.m. or sleep at 2 a.m.
Next one, temperate climate or tropical climate? 3, 2, 1.
Tropical. Nice.
The third one, which is your favorite continent? Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Asia.
Europe.
Oh.
Wait, why Europe?
Horses. No, but also, yeah, just like Europe, there's a lot of diversity in the continent. You can get to a lot of different cultures in a very short span of time.
How about why you choose Asia?
I think out of all the countries I've been to, generally the ones I feel more comfortable in is still Asia, maybe because it's closer to home.
Plane or train? 3, 2, 1.
Plane.
Why plane?
The more efficient, I think.
No, there was once when I took a train from Hanoi to Sapa. It was a very long journey and it was like quite bad because it's very bumpy and then you can smell like the smell of like piss in the whole train. So I didn't really like that. So after that I was like, if I can, I just travel by plane.
Okay, but I must also add that train is like much more scenic, right? So if you have a lot of time, then yeah, take the train.
Okay, next one. Water sports or winter sports? 3, 2, 1.
Winter sports.
2 winter, 1 water.
Can't take the cold. That's all.
I also don't really like the cold, but I think Singapore has a lot of rainy weather, so I feel like I'm constantly in the water anyway.
Okay, city or countryside? 3, 2, 1.
City.
Both. Recently, I spent a bit of time in the mountains as well, so I think I'm starting to like mountains a lot more. And in Singapore, you just don't get mountains, so like it's like, wow, mountains, they're so beautiful. But I'm definitely a city girl at heart.
Live in an apartment or live in a villa? 3, 2, 1.
Apartment.
All 3
Both
different.
again. No, you have to choose one.
No, you have to choose. Life is about freedom.
I think for me, it's just a smaller place means less things to clean. So, yeah, I don't need such a big place, you know.
Yeah, I'm thinking apartment, right? If I stay HDB the rest of my life, I'm going to be in debt. But villa is like so short.
Yeah, I think it's short-term villa, but long-term it would still be apartment. I don't know about you, but like for me, like if I'm in a villa for too long, I feel very like lonely and also scared.
Eat out or cook on your own? 3, 2, 1.
Eat out.
No! Why do you give such difficult questions? Okay, cook.
Why do you not like cooking on your own?
Just to clean up for me.
If I'm in a very expensive place, then yes, I will cook. But if it's like most of Asia, I think quite affordable. So why not let the professionals do it and then I'll just do the eating.
Work in a cafe or work in a co-working space? 3, 2, 1.
Cafe.
Co-working.
Ah, why not cafe?
First, I don't drink coffee, but secondly, I like being in a co-working space because you tend to be able to meet different people who are like doing interesting things.
With co-working space, you end up spending more.
You spend money and then you don't get to eat or drink anything, right? So might as well you spend that money, you buy something from the cafe and support a local business.
Yeah.
Okay, and the last one, work in the same time zone or work in a different time zone? 3, 2, 1.
Same.
Different.
Oh, why?
Wow.
Of course, most of my work is actually quite international. So I have a lot of calls with people in US or in Europe. So if I'm in Singapore, actually the time zone is not the most favorable because we always have to like accommodate for like early mornings or late nights. Yeah.
Now I think we're all ready to dive into discussion.
Oh, wow, warm up only.
Yeah, we're all warmed up here. So we'll first find out more about the digital nomad lifestyle. Maybe we can start off with the first question of breaking down the definition of what it means to be a digital nomad.
For me, it would be more of like being a local wherever you are. You are not like a tourist, right? So it's like the antithesis of being a tourist.
I saw this as there are two different types of digital nomads. So one is if you're a self-employed person and you can like choose your own work, find jobs, if you can control your own schedule. And then the other kind is when you're employed. You work in a remote team, remote first team, and basically the company culture is such that it encourages or it allows for you to be a digital nomad.
Okay, the next question, how long have you been living this lifestyle as a digital nomad? Can you share more about that turning point of when you decided to start?
For me, it's quite short. Started in about April this year.
This year?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like I was making a move from a very regular like 9 to 5 kind of job, and I just happened to be in this role where they told me it's remote. I started the whole like digital nomading right after I had a call with my boss. One day we were just like chatting, and then my boss is based in US, and his background was different, like in a specific call. Like suddenly he was using a virtual background, but his hair was like flying all around, and it was like very windy. So I was like, oh hey Cameron, like where are you? And he was like, oh I'm in some island in Croatia. Then I was like, oh, if he's gonna do that, then like technically I can, right? Yeah. So I was like, I just started.
I think I've more or less been a digital nomad on and off for like the last 7, 8 years. So I actually started my first company in 2015. It's an internet company. So I literally could work anywhere as long as I had access to the internet.
And for you, Sasha?
Yeah, I think very similar to you. So I started in 2016. The main reason why I really wanted to go into this, I didn't think of it as like I want to be a digital nomad. I actually wanted to pursue a music career. Music is like, people see it as a passion project or like, one of these things that like are very high risk, unpredictable, right? So I kind of felt that if I don't give myself this chance to give it my best shot right now, I'm really going to regret it when I'm like old. Yeah, so that's kind of why I went basically full-time into entertainment. I started picking up like sort of like remote jobs as well.
Could you share maybe some of the initial worries or fears that you all have?
For me, the biggest challenge was because my team is in the US. Like, there's no feeling of like you have a real like colleague or a friend. Because like last time at work, you could just make small talk. You could go out to do activities and all that. Now you're just like telling them about what I've done over the weekend, what they've done over the weekend. It's a bit. Sometimes it felt a bit forced also. It's almost like they're trying to embrace some sort of culture, but if you're not really doing the activities together, it's not very real lah. It's just like a sharing session thing. I told myself like there are other ways to like make friends also lah. It doesn't have to be friends in a company. Right? So if you travel and you meet people from other countries, you're also making friends. So that was the mindset I have.
So how was it for you?
I'm a very creative, artsy person, so that also means that I'm not very good with money and finances. So I was mainly worried that I wouldn't have enough money to survive. I actually met up with this person who basically enabled me to go on this path, and it was my financial advisor. She basically said, you're gonna regret it later in life, blah blah blah. Like, I believe in you, you can do it. And I was like, who says that? Even my parents wouldn't say that. And then she just like sat me down and like listed out all of my finances. Yeah, so that was amazing.
what does an average day look like for you as a digital nomad?
It depends on the country I'm at the time. So, like for example, when I was in Australia, the working culture is a bit different. Like they end work a bit earlier, so I have to like adjust to that because I'm like a night person, right? So suddenly I'm like, wow, at night what to do? I'm very very bored. There was this time I was in like some cafe, and it was just quite quiet lah. There was no like wind in the background also. Then suddenly it started to have this like big storm coming, and the wind was like so heavy. It was just blowing on my mic, and there were so many birds like flying behind me. Like I just had to, I just couldn't take the call. I just like, just mute everything, off my camera and all that.
I think there's no standard day for me. It really depends on the company, what's happening, and then also it depends on what's like the agenda for the day.
I think it really changed along the way. Like when I was in entertainment, my day could be like spending 6 hours on the computer and then rushing to like do my hair and makeup and like be in full glam and like do a shoot or whatever. And then when I was pursuing my music, it would be like I would be in another country and like I would be like having a full day of songwriting sessions and like networking and meetings, and then in the evening like go out to like bars and stuff like that.
Okay, now we're going to just go a little bit deeper to understanding what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of having this digital nomad lifestyle.
Myself, the negatives, I'll start with that first because it's mostly due to COVID. When I was like crossing the border from Ecuador to Peru, when I arrived at the border, they said, oh, 2 vaccines is not enough, we need you to have 3.
Huh?
So yeah, it's like, oh, as of 18th of February, 9 a.m., this is the new law. And I was like, it's 10 a.m., can you be a bit flexible? Like, no, Ministry of Health says we need 3 vaccines because your last one was like more than 6 months old or something. Yeah, good thing is that, yeah, you get to see a lot of places and meet a lot of people that you otherwise would never imagine yourself having the opportunity to do so, right? So I think if you are a tourist, you might go for like the tourist attractions. Of course, you take off the main things that you should see in each country, and you might miss certain things like how people live locally in some of the smaller communities or how people interact, what they do for work. It's good to have a bit more time to understand and appreciate those nuances and not just like touch and go. And yeah,
I find that true also because for me when I go on these like longer trips, like I was able to make friends because people, how to say, like if you tell them you're on a holiday for like 5 days or 4 days, like they don't really bother connecting with you on a deeper level or so, something like that. But if you tell them like you're here for 3 weeks, somehow I feel like they're just more open or more friendly, and there's more time for you to develop like proper relationships. So I feel that's also a part that is a big pro lah.
I feel that if you're a digital nomad, it can actually be quite isolating, and you can actually feel very lonely because you're like working by yourself and like your team is all over the country. So when I travel, I purposely go to places where I know I want to spend time with those people who are there. So for my music, for example, why I went to Los Angeles, why I went to Berlin is because I know there are music people there and I want to connect with them, and I also want to live like a local. And I feel that the best way to experience a country, if you can, is if you know someone who lives there and they can introduce you.
Do you think being a digital nomad is suitable for everyone?
I would say that if you want to be a digital nomad, you can be a digital nomad. There's so many ways you can do it. I think it's really about do you have the motivation, or do you have an impetus to want to get out of your comfort zone, to want to embrace change? I think also to have a growth mindset.
Now that we have all this information, does this want to make you become a digital nomad? Let us know in the comments now. And for all the people who are answering yes, let's go through some tips on how to get started.
As a very social and community-oriented person, I always want to know people in the country before I get there. So if you're like that, I suggest Facebook groups. They are amazing. There's always a Facebook group for travelers in every country that you go to. Sometimes there are like digital nomad Facebook groups as well.
Something similar, but pro tip for singles only. I actually met like a tour guide or people from dating apps in these places. It's quite unexpected. Like you wouldn't think so, but even in Singapore, right? If you use your dating apps, you realize that there are foreigners who come here and they want to meet people also. So I was like, Actually, I can do the other way around also, like go there and meet people.
Okay, so I think the next question will be going into more detail of how one should plan if you were to start an adventure.
Like I can say, for example, I was in Europe in the summer, and the moment I landed, I already started planning for Europe in the winter. So that's like 3 months in advance.
Oh.
So yeah, but I think it's more like I was just really excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go back, blah, blah, blah.
I don't really plan that much, especially when it comes to travel anymore. After you have been to so many places, yes, there will be still things that you need to take into account that's different for every situation. But then, more or less, you can anticipate and expect and adapt along the way.
How do you choose a country?
For me, I don't really have a choice because I have to pick a country within Asia. Because my role, I have to sort of cover Asia hours, not so fixed, but roughly. Yeah, so it was already narrowed down quite a bit. And then,
Half the world is in Asia.
okay, yeah, fine. Okay, but then the second thing is also like I need stable Wi-Fi and connection. I cannot be in a place where like I have just get cut off. And then when it comes to living, just try out different options. There are some where you can really like stay in those pods, sleeping pods, where you just pay like $10, 10 Sing dollars a night, just sleep there. So just be flexible and see, then you'll find out like what's suitable for you.
I usually try and avoid air travel if possible. This is like if I'm going around Europe or going around Africa or Latin America. So I would just try and find ways to cross the border like by a bus or train. So it will be like limited to the neighboring countries. And then similar to Jason, because I need Wi-Fi, I need connection to the internet. So it's usually a city. I might go explore like the neighboring vicinity in the weekend or in the evenings when I have some time. But staying wise, usually it will be in the city.
I tend not to like decide where I'm going necessarily. I tend to go where there are opportunities. Or like for example, this winter, my boss has decided to just remote work out of Portugal, and he was like, "You can stay with me." I'm like, "That's an opportunity." So I'm just going and like joining him, and then like building, my trips from around there.
Yeah, mine was quite similar. I had one experience when my trip to Australia, like my friend was gonna go there also to visit another friend. So he just asked me like whether I wanted to come along. So I was just there, then we just stayed in the living room, our friend's living room, and we just set up like a workspace. Like we bought this like foldable table, then we bought an air mattress, we bought those foldable chairs, then we just set up the whole thing. Our friend also had a dog who was just like running around while we were working also, even when we were sleeping also, so it was quite an experience.
Now you are already in that country, you are settled down, and you want to make the most out of this digital nomad lifestyle. How do you get used to the office hours when you're in a different time zone from your other colleagues? How do you research the area in general and know what to do when you're there?
For me, it's just planning my entertainment areas, not so much about the work. Because I'm there to like travel and like see the country, right? So I'm just planning like what to do after work, what to do during the weekends. So like I don't really have a list, but I would put those markers on my Google Maps, the flags and all that. And then I'll download offline maps. So when I'm there, I would just like see which area I'm in and then just visit the places around. Like I wouldn't have a very fixed schedule because like you never know when you have to go back to work and things like that, and when you feel like doing something.
And on, I learned that you should just book like the first 2 nights of one night, and then if it's good, you book for the rest. So I was actually in Egypt for a total of 2 months in the last 2 years. The first time I got there, I was looking for a place with Wi-Fi again. So I started in Cairo. It was such a noisy city. Even at 1, 2 a.m. at night, you could hear the car horns and everything. So I survived there for like 2 nights, and then I was like, I'm gonna find another accommodation that's a bit more quiet so I can sleep in peace. I found a place next to the pyramids, right? Literally 5 meters away from the pyramids. I thought it was like really cheap. It was like $10 a night and had Wi-Fi. But it was such a bad Wi-Fi that kept going out every half an hour or so. Yeah, you shouldn't book like straight away for 1 whole week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Because the reality and the pictures and the reviews and even the facilities might vary a lot from what is real.
And how would you all go about like making new friends? I think just now you mentioned like online community, tap on those, right? But if you are already there, how do you all get acquainted with like new locals?
I was like working in this cafe, right? So last time when I started this digital nomading, I was like, I think I'm going to make a lot of friends, going to have like this whole lifestyle and community and all that. But when I was there, I didn't make any friends. Yeah. I was like, huh? What's going on? Then I realized like, oh, I'm listening to my music, like wearing my earpods. So I realized the first thing is to just like be more chill, I don't know. Take more breaks. Then you start looking around more. Then I realized like, okay, once I started like chilling a bit more, looking around, then I start to see people like looking at me more. So then I'll be like, hey, start. Then you just like make friends really.
I think couchsurfing is like something I tried mostly in English-speaking parts of the world where accommodation is expensive, which would be like America, Canada, Europe, Western Europe especially. So getting to do couchsurfing like I did during Halloween, we were with the kids, doing trick or treat, door to door. It's a very local experience that you don't get like in Asia.
Then comes my next question, because you are still working, right?
Yep,
Technically. So how do you keep up with the productivity? Like we can talk also about the differences between working remotely versus working in an office. So when you are being digital nomads, how do you all balance that and still keep up with work in the midst of all this fun?
I feel like I work less.
You work less?
Yeah, my productivity is lower, but I hope my boss don't see this. Anyway, it's in the US, never mind.
But he's chill, so it's okay.
Okay, but the thing is, right, like here is like when you finish work, you still go about your daily life, right? It's not like you go and sleep straight away, like you still enjoy, right? So overseas also is like the same thing. When you finish work, instead of enjoying your life in Singapore, you just enjoy like elsewhere.
It's important to prioritize what the work is, so you know like, okay, these are the main things that I need to achieve, and then these are smaller things, and if I don't spend crazy amounts of time on them, like it's fine, it's not that important. And the other thing also is having like a really strong support system. Your team has to have empathy, basically, like to reach out to you, because like these are things that you might not like necessarily talk about. So having a really good team that has empathy and a like manager that has empathy is really good. My boss has a lot of empathy as well, so I'm basically like passing it on.
This is about the kaching. So question is, are there any differences in pay when doing jobs that allow for remote working?
So I think it depends a lot on supply and demand for every job. It's not so much a function of whether it's remote or not remote, and what's the kind of value add that this person is bringing to the organization.
I think they should pay higher because you technically are paying for like electricity and all that.
Yes!
And then all the staff benefits, all the food and all that.
I know!
Don't forget, you
Yeah, but
just
asking
said
for a lot.
you feel like you work less,
I know.
and then now you're asking for higher
If
pay.
he's not going to watch this, I just
No.
go all the way.
All the way, okay. Now that we've covered so many things about being a digital nomad, we're going to put all this knowledge to test. So we have the experts here with their whiteboards and their markers. The first question, what is the one thing no digital nomad can live without?
Obvious, right?
Yeah. You say one thing, are you writing an essay?
No. One obvious and one not obvious.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, you can show your answers. Wi-Fi, internet, phone, and fresh underwear.
Okay.
Good to know.
No, really.
Always bring a fresh pair.
Yeah.
The answer is, Wi-Fi and phone or computer or laptop. What is the cheapest country to live in?
Struggling to give an answer.
Can you show your answers? Peru, Indonesia. Oh. Goa, India, and Pokhara and Nepal.
Okay.
Oh.
Goa is not cheap though. My hostel in Peru was $3 a night.
Wow.
I think it included breakfast.
Oh.
Make a guess. How many digital nomads are there in the world?
How are we gonna know?
I think this is going to be a Price is Right situation.
Tough,
Okay, let's see who's the closest. Okay, show your answers.
No, 5%.
Oh,
What is 5%?
what is
Just try.
5% based on the
That's a
entire
lot, eh?
world's population?
Entire
That's
population.
a lot.
There are 7 billion people in the world.
I don't know lah, I don't know. Now what time already? Very tired already.
The answer is 35 million.
Oh, thanks.
Wow, it's very close.
Wow,
Oh,
close.
yeah. I haven't computed this yet, so
No,
I'm
I
not
mean,
sure.
yeah.
That's
how much is
definitely off.
5%. What is one of the most popular career fields for a digital nomad? Can you show your answers now? Oh.
All three of us.
Yeah.
Yes,
Did she answer?
you're very close. Yes, the top 10 fields include writing, education and training, admin, customer service, art and creative, computer and IT, consulting, data entry, marketing, project management. How often do digital nomads move on average? Can show. 3 weeks, once a month, once a week. Oh, okay. Answer is every 6 months.
Wow.
Wow. Clearly, we are not those digital nomads.
I haven't even worked 6 months.
You haven't worked for 6 months in this job.
What year was the digital nomad lifestyle first known of? You look very confident of your answer.
No, I just randomly guessed.
Can show your answers now? Oh, it actually started in 1983.
Oh wow. Actually, there are some people in like communities, Facebook communities, who are like, oh, I've been a digital nomad for like 20 years, something, and I'm like, does it count if like the term digital nomad was not really a thing back then?
So they are trailblazers, like
Yeah.
they start their own.
Trailblazers.
How many countries grant a digital nomad visa? Are you going to give percentages? 5%.
This point is really just guessing only.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, she's actually counting.
Okay. Can you show your answers? Oh, okay. The answer is 47. There are 47
closest.
nations
Really?
granting
Oh,
that.
47.
Yes, based on weforum.com .org.
Who are these countries?
47, yes, that's a lot. And the last question. What is the main reason for digital nomads to move home? Okay, show your answers. COVID.
This year, what? This year.
No wonder. Yeah, aging parents explore a new place. The reason is loneliness. Okay, that was a really fun trivia segment. We really put our knowledge to test. How many questions did you get right? So to wrap this off, we have 2 final questions that we'd like to ask. So first one, what do you all think the future for digital nomads will be?
I think it's just going to be more widely adopted, widespread, just because of COVID. It normalized everything.
I believe that a lot of digital nomads moving forward will also try to solve problems that they face. So a lot of things that we mentioned, like crossing borders or making a community, there will be a lot more services that are catered specifically for these people.
I think on top of like there being more infrastructure to cater to digital nomads, the soft skills like the workplace culture is going to develop more towards like a remote working environment.
If you could say like one thing to digital nomad wannabes, what would you say? Like just one thing.
For me, it's just try lah, nothing to lose. I mean, at most 1-2 years, a few months, it's gone. But if you have the opportunity, just try lah.
I think it's important, as with anything, to come into this knowing what your goals are, because everybody has different priorities and different goals. If you're very clear about what you want to get out of being a digital nomad, then you can take active steps to make sure that that's the kind of experience that you get out of it, as opposed to like kind of falling into it and then like getting tossed around in the wind like a leaf. I think like if you really want to get something out of being a digital nomad, you're going to be very clear about that.
That's really many stories that we have heard today, very insightful ones. Hopefully it will help you digital nomads out there wherever you are. We've come to the end of this episode. Catch us in the next episode. I'm Nikki, your host, signing off.
Bye.
Bye!